Love is the everyday expression of the eternal to every neighbor. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. We are building on our mission to our neighbors by understanding that we ought to love each other like we love ourselves. That's what Jesus says. It's what he shows us. And when we think of what love actually is, it's not that hard. It's the expression, the everyday expression of what we have in the eternal. Remember, we talked about in the previous study the idea of not just breathing, but being blessed. Talked about not bios, but Zoe life, that eternal life that Christ offers us. This is the source of that love that we have to each other. And you know what happens when we look at others like Jesus looks at us, and we see others through heaven's eyes? We see the total person, and that total person and their needs, it's right there on the front. Those needs that we even can see just as human beings. We would normally call them the temporal or the practical needs, the physical needs. Yeah, love starts with those. We've got Bible for that there in James chapter 2, verse 15 through 16, where it says, if a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace and be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what did it profit? Needs, right? Needs of the body. Those things that are apparent, those things that are self-evident, and they don't necessarily have to share. We're talking about if you got a neighbor, somebody in your neighborhood, and they've got a trash can, but the sister or brother may be somehow physically unable, or maybe they are at an age where it's tough for them to do that. And I know, hey, I've got strength. I can take that trash can up that hilly driveway. Or you know what? They may not know that they left their hat, or their child left their bike out here around the corner. Let me go and let them know. Or even better, go take it to them. The simple things that are simple because they're obvious and they're physical and they're right in front of us, those needs are oftentimes the beginning point of meeting them, those mental and those spiritual needs. In Proverbs 3, the book of wisdom, talking about how to treat our neighbors, look at what it says in verse 27 to 28. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Notice where the power is, when it's in the power of thine hand. Hand meaning the physical, literal, 5 digits if you have them all, or the things or the means that you have in your possession. If you've got access to those, use them. Don't let the burden or the desire for deeper truths or spiritual connection make us blind to the physical absence or the physical void. How can we expect them to want to let us into the intimate when we don't even address or deal with the obvious? And it's in our power to make a difference in the obvious. It's why we close with Leviticus 19. This whole chapter, read the whole chapter. It's all about how to be a good neighbor. But it's here in verse number 15 of Leviticus 19 where it says, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. A lot of directions we can go with this verse, but here's where we're going with. The idea of judgment. We're not just dealing with condemnation or reward, but we're talking about sizing up, analyzing, or making a determination of. When it comes to dealing with or judging a neighbor, righteous judgment, right estimate, an accurate and an effective analysis, not an emotional or irrational one. But if I see that this person is busy, very busy, I'm obviously not going to try and make an attempt to engage them for 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to try and meet them where they are. If I see I have a family member who has a lot of children and they do not know how to handle them, maybe they're not ready for a study on this particular doctrine, but maybe they might need counsel, or even better yet, maybe a babysitter for a couple of nights out of a month. The idea of doing what's in our hand to do, and letting that be the starting point. It may be the ending point for you in the sowing process. But even if that's the case, do it. That's what you have the power to do. And by everybody doing what they have the power to do, the Lord is promising that he will finish and fulfill and even save by the power that he has to do.